Hey guys, so today I convinced some of the girls to come and we're going to have like a candid discussion about our diet and how we started our diet and how our diet has changed and how we want to change our diet differently again. So, last year we decided, when was it, do you think?
March.
In March,
Probably.
we knew that we were going to be needing to change a diet for some health concerns. So we went totally on paleo, which we had no dairy, no grains at all, um, not just wheat, like no grains at all. And so, and no soy and only organic. Oh, we didn't have corn at all. Did we? No, we
Not
did
sure.
have organic corn, but only whole corn, like corn kernels, not corn products, because that would be kind of greenish. So did we? No, because we had chips. We had organic corn
Yeah,
chips.
I would say we had.
Yeah, I think we had corn.
We made
Yeah,
sure it was organic.
yeah, we made sure that it was organic. Okay. Now that we figured out what we did do and didn't do, so we went all the way paleo, and I'll be honest, the first month, maybe 5 weeks, I really struggled with it. I love sugar. I am like a sugar and carbs type person. I would sometimes prefer not to eat a meal and just, well, not prefer not to eat a meal. Just, I feel like I'm busy. So I would just grab something quick, like crackers or, whatever, just really quick, um, yeah, or I'll eat a meal and then feel like I need something sweet afterwards. And so I think that even if I'm like full, I feel like I need something sweet afterwards. So that first 5 weeks was really hard for me. How was it for you guys?
Yeah, I'm a lot like mom in that way. Like I love carbs and sugars, so it was really hard like at first when we first got into it. But after we were into it and had transferred, it was a lot better, and I felt a lot better.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, I think for me, it wasn't as hard because I was like, well, this is going to make me feel better. So I think I was mostly okay with it. Although there was days where it's just like, I want this, and I couldn't have it.
Yeah, I think that that was really hard. I think one way that we got around the hardness a little bit is I did make a lot of snacky type things that were okay. So we did do like maple syrup, and we did honey and peanut butter. Well, no, we didn't do peanut butter in the beginning. We did almond butter
Yeah,
because we weren't quite sure if there was going to be. There's actually a lot of peanut allergies that are actually a mold allergy because of the way that the peanuts are grown. But we found that if we are eating organic peanut butter, then we're okay with that. So most of the time it would be like organic peanut butter. And we didn't know if we were going to have that mold allergy or did have that mold allergy. So we were taking like everything out. So we were eating very healthy. And then after the 5 weeks, I mean, I really had a lot of energy. I had a newborn baby. She is 1 today. And let's see, she would have been, so when did we go? April to May, June. So she was 2 months old, and we went on a camping trip, and we had been on the diet for probably about 6 weeks at that point, and we stayed on that diet during the camping trip as well. All the snacks, all the foods that I had brought in were like related to that, which was kind of difficult to do, but we had it like that. But I had so much energy. I felt, even though that the baby was up all the time, I felt like I had energy. I even, from like a mother's perspective, I was, 7 weeks postpartum, and I hiked with my family wearing the baby, nursing up Bradbury Mountain. I don't know how it's not like it's a mountain. It's definitely a mountain. It's over, you can like see over Portland and that type of stuff. But it's not like, I didn't need like, there's like a path to go up the mountain. It's not like I was rock climbing or something. Um, but I felt the energy to be able to do that, as well as do activities like every day that week. And I didn't really feel burnt out, to be honest with you. And now I'm like looking back at this. So I always struggle with my milk supply. Looking back, I can definitely see the benefit as being definitely more energized. So, how did you guys feel when you were on that?
Yeah, I definitely felt a lot more energized. I was able to, like you said, hike that trail with Nevaeh on my back, who probably at the time was 30 pounds or so or whatever, and I was fine. I wasn't like tired or anything. That I did feel like I had a lot more energy and stuff. I was able to do more and be more active
Mm-hmm.
with that. Whereas like now or before it, when we were eating more grains and stuff, I just feel more sluggish.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Um, I had extremely high inflammation levels, so I would get bloated a lot. But once we were on the diet, I found that I had a lot less bloating and stuff. So it made me feel better in that way. I mean, I didn't feel like a lot of energy or anything because like I was still healing from other conditions and stuff that I had. But I do feel like it helped in other ways.
um, so then what happened? We'll fast forward a little bit, and probably September
For when? What are you thinking?
when we kind of so afterwards
That's-
when we actually went to the doctors and found out the exact diet that was going to need to happen, that was, I can't remember.
It's because he gave me a huge list of. I had a
well,
big list of what I wasn't supposed to have, but we were kind of already on it.
Yeah,
We're
but then there was some things that like she was able to have that we had already taken
taken
out,
out.
like rice. We had taken that out. We were only the only starch that we were doing was potatoes, and tried to focus more on sweet potatoes than regular potatoes. Um, so rice and oatmeal, and at that point, I had never bought like gluten free products. At that point, we had got gluten free pasta and gluten free like
breads and stuff,
breads, or
crackers.
yeah, like those types of things. And we hadn't done that before. We were basically eating meat and lots of vegetables, and actually we had quite a bit of, we actually craved, I found that I craved meat more, and I am somebody who does not usually like meat all that much. I kind of make it like this small portion on my plate because I know I should be eating it. But it was weird because like I craved meat, and if I wanted a snack, a lot of times I wanted beef jerky, which is so weird for me, like to even want that. And so, yeah, it was totally like just a totally different feeling. Like a lot of times, if I was hungry, like I wanted a salad, and I would go and I would make myself like a salad with avocado and bacon and tomato on it, and I would feel fully satisfied. Like, this is the most awesome thing ever. Or I would just sit there, and the kids would too. We just cut like an avocado in fourths and like eat an avocado because like our bodies needed those healthy fats. Um, so I found that I didn't even, after that time period of like 5 or 6 weeks, I didn't even want the sugars, which is normally totally not me. I wasn't craving the sugars though. I was completely like, whenever I was hungry, I wanted food. I didn't want sugar. Usually on a normal basis, if I'm hungry, I'm like, oh, I want like a donut or croissant. Not that I go and like do that, but like pasta and butter, or whatever, macaroni and cheese or whatever it is. Like I would crave those types of things over actual like meat and vegetables. So, what were
Mm.
your cravings after about 5 weeks?
Um, well, I definitely wanted more salads. I wanted to eat more greens. I did not crave like sugar and carbs really at all. Like after like the 5 weeks, um, I did eat more. Find myself eating more meat and yeah. I did find there was this one week. I feel like at that point, like your body told you what you needed, because I don't like beets, but there was this one week where I like ate like 2 pints of beets all by myself because I was craving it, and which is weird for me because I like don't like beets, but I think like at that point your body sort of told you, okay, you need, like, I kind of craved what I needed. Like there
Yeah.
would be a day when I was like, oh, I really just want kale, and or another day where
Yeah.
I wanted more chicken on my plate or whatever it was. I think it was just like my body telling me this is what you need.
Yeah. I wanted like grapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted grapes.
I wanted grapes, and I was getting really irritated that most of the stores that we were going to wouldn't have like organic grapes. So I ended up eating non-organic grapes and just washing them or whatever. But like grapes and blueberries. I did for a couple weeks or whatever. I wanted olives. We didn't have any at our house because nobody likes olives. But like I felt like I would be in the grocery store and be like, I don't want to buy those, but those look really good. And I don't know what it was. I should have just bought them and eaten them, because now, like looking back, my body was telling me like the nutrients that my body needed, and I never had that in my life. So, what we did do is I actually found it is very difficult to go from a regular standard American diet over to something like paleo, especially when you have a big family. And I think the biggest thing is you don't realize the amount of foods that you will actually eat if you are not filling yourself with grains. You don't realize like how much food, like, so normally we would eat like say 4 pounds of meat at a meal. But if you're just eating like lots of vegetables and lots of meat or whatever, we were eating like so much more that it was hard to get like a hold of how much I needed to cook. And it was like a whole different learning curve, because we could easily go through, you know, say I was doing meatballs. Normally, maybe I do like plan mentally in my head 3 meatballs per person. And I like remember making like 4 bags of meatballs, thinking that we would have some for like leftovers for the next day. And 4 bags for us normally would have 2 bags. So it was probably about 80 to 100 meatballs. And they were gone. There was like 2 meatballs left in there. And then, because I was going to put some in for my husband's lunch, and I was like, oh, there's only 2 meatballs in here, which was fine. But you just don't realize like how much you actually are needing. And maybe that would taper out if we actually filled our bodies with the nutrition that we needed. Um, but what ended up happening was her thing said that she could have grains, so she could have rice and she could have oats and those types of things. And so I tried to at first make it so that 20% of our diet was those things and the rest was not. And I think that it's really just crept into, because we've had those grains, like we've been craving more sugar, we've been craving more carbs, we've been craving all those things that we weren't craving before. And I'll be honest, it's been probably since September that we like started sneaking things in, and it's got to this point of, okay, then there was Christmas, and then there was Thanksgiving, and then Christmas, and then we were going on a trip and all those things. And it's just like I feel so tired right now. Like I know the baby wakes up like every 2 hours till the nurse, and I'm going to feel tired. And like, I understand all those things. But at the same time, like, I felt so good right after I had a baby eating the other way that I did. So I think that it really makes a difference. Where we're going to go from here is I'm not quite sure. Kaylee has actually stayed for the most part within the diet. I mean, occasionally if we're out somewhere, then she might have an occasional whatever, but more like pasta. Like
Yeah, I've pretty much completely stayed off gluten because I was afraid of what it would do to me because I had been off of it for so long. But then I did try some, and I felt so bloated after that, and I was just like, nope, not worth it.
mm-hmm.
But I did have like little bits of dairy because I had gone to an allergy doctor and I'm not allergic to anything. So I was like, well, I can slowly introduce some things. Like that's what he had suggested, just to see what bothers me and what doesn't. And I find like some things it's like it doesn't really bother me, but like I don't know, like creamer in my coffee, it seemed to bother me some. So I think each person's going to be different, and you should eat what makes you like feel good.
For sure. What do you think? What do you think affects you more? Do you think dairy affects you more, or?
I don't think dairy. I think gluten. I remember having like didn't have it for all that time, and then I had like pasta, regular pasta, whatever, and I just felt like very heavy and bloated after that. I think a lot of like grains and stuff. It just makes me, even just if I didn't have the sugar, even just the grains made me crave sugar. Yeah.
I find that too, that if I'm eating grains, then I want sugar. It's almost like they're hand in hand. And I always thought, honestly, that like I felt a certain way because of sugar. And I'm not saying that sugar is good for you, but I felt that I was a certain way because of sugar. But there was a time that we were still eating sugar, but not eating grains. And I definitely felt better not eating grains than I did while I still had sugar. I'm not saying that sugar is good. I'm definitely not saying that sugar is good. And it's, but I thought that I would have felt that big difference if I took sugars away, because years ago I did. I took all the sugars away. I was only using stevia and monk fruit and that type of stuff. And I thought that I would feel this huge difference in my body and energy and that type of stuff. And I never felt this huge difference. But then when I took the grains away, I did feel this huge difference. And I didn't want that to be right because, I love my grains and I love, and I love those foods and that type of stuff. And it's really hard. It's hard to try to do things. But I think that you'll be seeing, I don't know if my oldest daughter is in here. We're having a discussion. She's actually doing an awesome job. She's in there butchering a pig while we sit in here. And so my shoulder has been bothering me. I'm usually the one to do the butchering, but she's actually, I've taught her how to do the cuts for the things I used to do, and she is blessing me tremendously right now. So me and her were having a discussion the other day, and she was mentioning there was actually somebody gave us some donuts, and so I asked her if she wanted a donut, and she's like, no, like she's like, I ate that the other day, and it just made me feel like awful, like tired and just awful.
I think that's why I got sick last night, is because I ate some of the stuff that other people had brought to the breakfast and stuff. I think my body was just not used to it.
Yeah. So I really definitely see a difference in the grains. So I think probably what you will see from this channel, and we are just like you, we are just on a journey, and our way is not better than your way, and your way isn't better than our way. It's just what we're doing as a journey, as a family. We want like our bodies to feel their best. And so I actually have been doing research for the past couple weeks to see the amount of meat consumption in America in 1900. And in 1900 in America, meat consumption was between 150 to 200 pounds of meat per person. That is 40, I think it said 43% more than what it currently is. Another thing was I couldn't find accurate readings on vegetables, to be honest with you. Another thing is our grain consumption was, I think it was like 6 times higher. I know it was at least 4 times higher than it had been in 1900. And the calorie intake during that time period for women was 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day, and for men was roughly 5,000 calories a day. So we were eating a lot more calories but there weren't so many people that were overweight or obese, or there wasn't the types of conditions that we have nowadays. So it's really interesting. I love to learn from history, like where can we learn from history? And maybe that's, telling us something. It's like, yes, they did have bread back then. The Bible speaks of bread. What was the kind of bread that they had? How much bread do you think that they would have? I kind of put it onto simpler terms because we tend to make things really difficult. I would ask myself, as a farmer, as a homesteader, what things am I growing right now? I'm growing meat. I can hunt meat. I can fish, not meat, but protein. I get eggs for my chickens. Those things would be fairly simple in a small scale backyard type situation. Vegetables would be abundant, small scale back homestead type situation. What things would be harder for me to get would be the grains. I mean, just a normal household would not have fields of grains. And we've looked into growing grains, but it takes so much space just to grow like um enough grains. Like, so I think that back then, whenever you might say back then is, that it would have been harder for just the average American or the average person in general to be growing huge amounts of grains. Your basic diet would have been meat and vegetables through hunting and through growing vegetables. And your basic starches would have been through your vegetables, through potatoes, through sweet potatoes, through starchy type vegetables. It wouldn't have been through a grain itself, because grains are hard to grow. It's just like, if you look at sweetener, honey obviously is a natural sweetener, but how much honey would people have used if they were actually, getting a comb from the wild, or even doing like growing their own? It takes a lot of bees and a lot of time to do enough honey for you to be using in large amounts. How much maple syrup would you be doing? I don't know if you have ever been out to tap maple syrup, but it is a process. Everyone wouldn't have had the perfect maple tree in their backyard. We go out into the woods. I mean, you are burning like hundreds of calories every day when you're doing maple syrup. You are lugging, I mean, nowadays we have like little four-wheelers, we have whatever. But if you were actually going out there with a bucket and tapping maple trees, you are not going to freely be putting oodles of maple syrup onto something. So I think if we kind of get like that mindset into our minds of, okay, what would have come easy versus what would have been a little more difficult to get, then I think that our diets will become our diets, like in our household, will become better if we think of those types of things. So we are about to wrap it up. Do you guys have anything else?
I just think that like you should be eating things that make you feel good, but also like keep in mind our body is a temple of God and we should be taking care of it because like He created us to work for His glory, and so we should do our best to take care of our bodies. That way we can do that.
Yes. So true. Wise words. She's snuggly sleepy. Today is her birthday, so she has jammy day. We love her so much. We're not celebrating her birthday today, but today is her birthday. She's 1 year old. It's kind of bittersweet. She's just like this little tiny peanut, and it's like, where did that time go? All right, guys. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to hear more about our diet changes, if you want to hear more about, like Kaylee said when she was saying that, just like being created for work, I'd love to do a video maybe about being created for work and how God created us to work even before the fall. If you want to hear anything like that or what you want to hear, put it down in the comments below, and we hope to see you soon.